All right, we are back. We had a request to do the last question on the Winter 22 Test 1. And I have it here. I think I do. Okay. Winter 22 Test 1, Part 4. And yes, this will be the one that takes the most time. And when I see these problems, we didn't do this one, right? They're starting to look the same to me. I'm sorry. So I look for stuff like 6H's. That's not normal. 4H is not normal. I really also look for stuff like benzene. Oh yeah. And if I have benzene, I just start there because you can get so many quick points. One, I know this benzene has 3 H's on it, therefore it's got 3 groups on it. Benzene has 6 positions. I need to figure out how those H's are positioned relative to each other. Are they 1, 2, 3 in a row? Or does it go 1, 2 and there's a group and then skip to a third? Or is it H, then group, then H, then group, then H? Those are your choices. The patterns tell us everything. So I'm just going to say I am calling this letter J. If that is letter J, then on one side there has to be an R group because there's only one neighbor and it has to be on the other side. And I'm going to call that, I'm looking ahead at this triplet here, which means neighbors on each side. And that guy, that accounts for all 3 of your H's. Because there's him, and there's a neighbor on one side and a neighbor on the other. That's all 3. They are in a row. So I'm thinking this has to be H. We need a new color for our labels. We'll just go basic black. I'm thinking the triplet will be H, and then next door is the 3rd H. And that would have to be I. Now you better do something like this to show me you know those can't be H's, okay? So I don't know, R1, R2, R3. There you go. And that is the letter I. I'm going to put in parentheses just to avoid confusion. Okay, 6 points. Not bad. Now, when I see 6H triplet, I'm drawing me a CH3 and another CH3 that's identical. They're both connecting to a CH2. Can't be the same CH2. Ladies and gentlemen, if both methyls were attached to the same CH2, you have the molecule propane. And this is not the molecule propane. So these would be called A. And they'd be triplets because there's 2 neighbors. Okay. These 4 H's can be either C or D. These 4 H's can only be C or D. There's no other 4 H's that are identical in the molecule listed here. So can I make C work? If it's sextet, then I have 3 neighbors on the left. I need 2 more on the right. Now, if it's doublet of triplet, well, that's not possible here, is it? The minimum you get from 3 neighbors is quartet. Okay? So it could be something of Q, but that's not what it is. There'd be at least a Q in the name. All right, so I'm ruling out D, but I had a question. Okay, I didn't have a question. I'm sorry. I'm ruling out D. And I'm going to go with C. And sextet means you need two more neighbors because you got three already. You need two more on the other side. Let's go blue. And they better be the same, or else if these aren't the same, then these weren't the same. I mean, if they're not identical all the way to here, then these weren't identical at the end. So I think we ruled that this would have to be called C. Okay. And then we got these four H's. I think I can make D of T work now, because I've got the T. There's a T. Why a T? There's two neighbors to the left. I need one neighbor to the right. I think it's time to join these guys. Here's your one neighbor to the right. Okay. And that makes this D. These four guys are D. And it works because there's a triplet on the left and a doublet on the right. Doublet, triplet. And I'm going to start crossing things off that I've already taken care of. So I figure out what I need to take care of. A's gone. C's gone. D's gone. Those guys are all gone. See that red H you just drew? Can you give me a letter through A through J? Which
G.
one? It's got to
G.
be G. Because there's only one H of this variety. So it's got to be G. Does it fit that it's at 4.4? Not yet. You're not getting any points for G right now. There's no way it would have a peak at 4.4 with what you've drawn. So now we got to figure out what moved that up to 4.4. And we got a lot of information we haven't even looked at yet. I'm thinking 4.4 with this stuff here. I got this thing's, it's telling me I got two carbonyls here. Two carbonyls. So what kind of a H would that be to get it up to 4.4? I'm going to unshare. I'm going to reshare with the test. I need test. Where are you, test? I just need my, I don't know. I'm going to get the chart. You probably can't see what I'm doing. I'm grabbing the chart so I can bring it over. Snipping it. Gotta remember to reshare starboard or else I'm probably in trouble. Okay. My goodness, am I even sharing it all? Share. Starboard. Are you looking at the chart over here with my mouse flying around?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. And I have that. I need to know what's going to bring that up to 4.4. Keeping in mind there's no halogens in this formula, there's no nitrogens, there's no chlorines, there's nothing other than oxygen. So I'm looking here. Ester. I'm starting to look really familiar. Okay, wouldn't that bring it up to 4.4? I believe it would. And now you just got to ask yourself, what the heck do I have left? I have these three H's, these three H's, these two H's. We already took care of that. I didn't cross it off yet. Why don't we look at the singlet that's three H's? So I hope you're thinking CH3. And what's going to make it a singlet?
The
How many
carbonyl.
neighbors does a singlet have? Big fat 0. So what kind of CH3 would have no neighbors and a peak near 2.2? I don't know. It seems pretty convenient to have this category right here. Seeing as that those three H's would not have any neighbors and they're at 2.3. So one of these R groups is CH3. You want to leave it like this, just write the letter E there. I'll give you a point count for what you got on this question so far. It's getting close to 15, it's 14 more. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 points. You might want to quit, but you're so close. So close. One more carbonyl and an ethyl group, I think. Maybe not. Sorry, I got a tickle in my throat here. Took care of that. Oh yeah, I was right. Don't straighten that, please. Okay, that's what's left. That screams ethyl to me. 3.7. I think I know my last R group. You're down to this. That's all you're left with. That's the terrible O. OCH2, CH3 is all that's left. That's one of the R groups. What would this be? It would be 3.7, ether. Ether, 3.7. 3.7, where'd you go? F. And this would be a triplet at about 1. That's B. And you want all the credit. I mean, I give you all the credit here. Everything you wrote fits. But a lot of students want to have a molecule when they're done. So, and 7.4. 7.4. Which of these groups attached? Here. Here's your groups, people. Which of these groups would move the peaks up to 7.4? What would do it? Don't forget, the phenyl's attached. The H's are attached to the phenyl. So which of these H's is feeling a more strong pull based on what's next on the phenyl? Is it the carbonyl carbon? Is it the methyl? I don't think anybody's going to say the methyl. Or is it the oxygen? Oxygen. So I'm going to say that this one is the H closest to this group. I'm going to call J. So I'm going to put my O ethyl and I'm going to put the H that's closest to that and call it J. And then there's a 7.2 at the top. So that's not very special, 7.2. Guys, I'm going to give you credit for no matter what order you put these on. I'm just trying to be as detailed as I can here for you. To show you just how much information is really here. And I'm going to put the third group, which is just the methyl. And the one that's the I. Why did I say that's I? Because 7.2 is not special. And J, this was H, is that the other one? Is that the one that was the triplet, I hope? Yeah. And you better put your labels up here. FB. And then G is here. And then DCA.
Why do we have 4 oxygens in the formula?
I only have 3 oxygens and I needed 4.
Yeah.
I did something wrong. Oh, I don't know. I'd give myself 20 out of 20 and say, oh, well. Anybody see the key and see what is different here than there? So I don't have to waste too much time. Here's our final answer. There's nothing here that doesn't fit. Oh, it makes it a pentagon, of course. There's nothing here that doesn't fit the data, so I'm going to give it full credit. You can make an argument, yeah, your formula doesn't fit the data, and you'd have a point. So if somebody could do it.
So before the methyl, the E, there's an O. So OCH3 in the key.
Oh. Okay, so I got to say there's a problem with the question now, because what she said was there should be an O here on the key. There's an O there. I think she was saying that.
Yes.
That can't be correct for one reason. The peak would not no longer be at 2.2. It would have to be at 3.7-ish because it's now an ether, right? So I don't think I can get that key open here. Let me try. This is worth fixing on this video, so I'm going to pause. And